You're listening to the Public Speaking Podcast.
The podcast where real humans talk about communication, presentations, meetings,
and what happens when you stand on stages around the world.
The good stuff.
And the awkward stuff.
And the stuff nobody teaches you.
All right, let's jump into today's episode. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Public Speaking Podcast. This is Lucas, amateur speaker, CEO of Headgain, and happy to be here. Together with me in the studio is my favorite coach on the planet, the guy who has helped me realize that I use filler sounds when I shouldn't be using filler sounds, the guy that has my back when I stumble and fall, the best coach on the planet, Mr. Alexander Bramniala.
Thank you very much. It's such a cringe mode. Every time you want to go that direction, it was like, and I'm like, oh, no. Well, welcome everyone to another beautiful episode. And yes, I work as a communication coach, which means that I help you become fearless when you take a stage. Today, though, it's not a speaker expedition. It is not me and Lucas just chit-chatting because we have a very special guest, a man, a person, a human being, which I was recommended. And a friend of mine, he just sent a little Instagram like, hey, watch this guy. And I watched the guy and blew my mind. The thing is, what he does is something that I would probably never dare to do, even if I take stages. But this is where, really, this is what separates the wheat from the axe, as we say in Sweden, but it doesn't make sense in English. But that's where we separate people from people. I want to introduce no other, and I'll give him the explanation of what he does and who he is. But the thing is, the person that I'm about to give the stage to is the man who I wanted to pay some tribute to with having this lumberjack shirt on. Also a person who loves to take the character, who likes to stick Legos inside of his mouth. And that's where I'm putting a Lego piece in my mouth right now in the rightful way this time, right? So I don't hurt myself. Guys, I'm just going to give it up for Mr. Tomas Kaminski. Woo!
Thank you.
All right, so Thomas, unfortunately you couldn't see, but I'm going to redo this again. So I put a Lego piece inside my lip here, and then what's the deal with that?
Nah, I mean, I do a lot of characters on Instagram, and one of the characters is as like a Swedish person from down south, and like every other Swedish person I know, they use snus, right? So the tobacco. But the thing is, I don't do that, and I was like, I need to put something under my lip, and I always use like paper, but it kind of dried out, and it was like nothing really worked. So I thought about it, and I kind of built like a 3-piece snooze from Lego. And then I tried it out, and I noticed that my gums were hurting because obviously Lego, you shouldn't be stepped on, and you shouldn't either be put in your mouth. But then I found this like the tile that is without any studs. And I thought, this could work, and it actually did. So I have, and then I built a little box as well for it. So obviously to keep it. So I'm thinking of building a couple of them and kind of having, so it kind of sounds a little bit chunky when I pick it up.
Nice. Yeah, I've tried this many times, and I've done it wrong every single time. So Thomas, when you're saying characters, who are you? What do you do? What's your profession?
Well, my profession is, I'm a comedian. I'm a stand-up comedian first, and then I do obviously like sketches and, well, mostly sketches on Instagram, and that's a way of kind of getting your vibe and your comedy out there in a different format. And it's an easier format for Instagram than uploading a lot of stand-up clips. It kind of shows versatility, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. See, this is this stand-up comedian, one of those I always pay tribute to. And I know that one of the first conversations we had, I kind of scared the probably living crap out of everybody who's listening now as well. But I usually have you inside of my ear, and not you, Thomas, specifically, but I usually have stand-up comedians before I fall asleep. I always watch like a half an hour of stand-up comedians because you guys are my heroes without a doubt. But here's the thing. Before we go into more of the depth of what it is to be a stand-up comedian and what you do specifically, we have this little thing, Lucas, where we are going through
10 top thoughts.
Exactly.
With
so
Alex.
the audience and Lucas, who will do nothing in this specific segment. The thing is, though, that we're going to give you 10 really rapid questions, Thomas. Yeah. And the only thing I want is a simple answer. I'm going to just have 2 different words, and you're going to take the one that you favor the most. All right?
All right.
So
cool.
just to get the audience to get to know a little bit more. Are you ready for the 10 top thoughts?
Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Fast food or fine dining?
Fast food.
Water or wine?
Water.
Swimming or walking?
It's walking.
Swalking?
It's walking. That's the
the
best
new.
one. That's when you walk in the pool, you know? That's when you walk in the pool because you can't swim. That's the
Stay at home or travel?
stay at home.
Car or motorcycle?
Car.
Ooh. Off grid or city?
Off grid.
Red or blue?
Red.
Good one. Online or face to face?
Face to face.
Bed or sofa?
I thought you said better sofa. I'm like, my sofa's good.
Yeah. Bed or sofa? Bed. Okay. Summer or winter?
I gotta say winter there.
Ooh, interesting. All right. This has been another
10 tough thoughts
with Alexander and Lucas doing nothing in this segment. All right, cool. So then we know. I love that you're saying red there. Do you know specifically where where that comes from? Why red, not blue?
Yeah, I mean, the only reference red and blue pill is obviously from Matrix, but for me, the color red, I mean, it symbolizes a lot of things for me, at least. I mean, if you want to go into depth with it, it's fire. Fire is changing, right? So you can be, I think there's a lot of emotions are red. Hatred, anger, love, everything is red. You see red, you see black, so it's kind of, for me, it's red is the color of passion in every sense.
So also leading to that, this is also how you find out how far down the rabbit hole goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Lucas. So we have Thomas here in the perspective of business. You have some questions and thoughts, right?
Yeah, we have. And the route that we're taking in the podcast currently is we're looking at public speaking from different angles and the business of public speaking. And we're really interested about you. You're a comedian. You're out doing stages. You've also had your profession. I'm not sure if comedy and content creation is now your single provider of income, or if you're still juggling both. But I would be super interested to hear a little bit about your story, how you came into being a comedian and how that journey has been for you.
All right. I mean, I'm a teacher first. So I've been teaching in high school for a long time. And I always I like telling stories and trying to having not doing comedy per se, but making my students laugh. That was key. And I kind of stumbled in on stand-up comedy. I've always watched stand-up comedy, but since I was a kid, I never understood that was a profession. That was nothing you actually did, because usually the stand-up comics that I kind of watched in the beginning was like Seinfeld and Eddie Murphy, but they also did a lot of movies, right? So I was like, okay, so that's an actor, right? That's not just kind of a side quest, I guess, or something. But studying or being a teacher, after a couple of years, I kind of looked into stand-up comedy, or actually laughter, really, what laughter does to people, because every time I spoke to colleagues and they were having troubles with a certain group or a certain class, I never had those problems. So I was like, what do I do differently? So we kind of talked about that, and I did like a small not evaluation, but I talked to my students a lot, and they were like, yeah, but you relax, you make us laugh, and it's fun. Right. Okay. So I was looking into what happens when we laugh, like more on a theoretical level, and trying to understand like what actually happens in our bodies when we laugh. Well, we kind of relax a little bit. But I think the key thing that I found was, if I make someone laugh, they kind of perceive it as a gift. They perceive it as, I've given you something, right? So, and if someone has given you something, you kind of trust the person in a different way, because it felt good, the thing I got, right? It was a good gift, even though I didn't personally give you anything like physical. And then what happens is I trust you more, and then my attention span is, I can attend more kind of focused, my focus becomes better, right? So that kind of bridged over for me, is like, okay, how can stand-up comedy teach me things to become a better teacher? That's kind of where it started. So I did a small course. I understood basically nothing, and I noticed that I know nothing about stand-up. and then the journey kind of went off from there, where I met a person that was in this course with me, and he was like really like knew a lot of things about stand-up comedy, knew everything about the Swedish stand-up scene. I knew nothing, honestly. So when we went to clubs and like trying out acts and trying out our first minutes, he was the guy that helped me. We walked into a room and I was like, okay, is there anybody here that is famous? And he's like, yeah, that person and that person. I'm like, okay, because I would probably go up and go, hey, can I get a margarita, please? Because I have no idea who you are, So I was ignorant in that sense. But so that's kind of where the journey started with stand-up comedy. It was kind of connected to an interest of knowing what actually happens to us when we laugh.
Mhm. I love that. It's something that we look at when it comes to marketing as well. The power of reciprocity, which is where you give something, you receive something, and you want to give something back. And in your case, it becomes I give you more of my attention and focus, as you say. Really interesting piece there. And how did you then? Because you started going to clubs because you just wanted to learn a little bit more about comedy, or was it like, okay, I'm actually enjoying this. How do I get on?
I mean, the thing was that my friend, he was really keen on getting started. He was really keen on being on stage and doing sets, and he was writing, and he had some great bits like right from the start. And I was kind of jealous of that because my bits were terrible. I mean, in hindsight, he's a great writer. That's the thing. He's a writing comedian. I'm more of a, okay, I have some ideas. Let me take these things up on stage, and then I can kind of decipher what's the funny and remove the chunks, and then maybe write down some bullet points. So my journey, in a sense, is longer because I need more stage time to get out maybe better bits. But but then obviously everyone was like, but you got to do because you start out with 3 minutes really, and 3 minutes of stand up, and 3 minutes when we talk like this, it doesn't feel like a lot. But 3 minutes in that room where you're in a bar, no one knows who you are. You maybe have like 10 or 15 people, because you don't start off on the big stages with like 200 people. You start off with stages where there's like the local three drunks are sitting at the table, and there's a family that came there to eat pizza and not watch stand up, and that's your initial crowd, right? So you're
That's
standing
tough.
there. No,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. So when anyone asks me like, what do I need to be like, I want to do stand up, what do I do? I to go to clubs, and you basically feel like shit for like a couple of years, and then you find your voice, and then maybe someone picks you up and maybe discovers you a little bit and go, hey, I want you to open for me, like 500 people. But so when you go up, so you have those 3 minutes, and 3 minutes, like I said, doesn't sound a lot, but those 3 minutes need to have a laughter like every 15, 20 seconds.
Mm.
And if you don't get that, you feel that I'm bombing, like I'm not doing well. And when you say something that you think is funny, that
Yeah.
your expectation is that the
No.
audience will laugh,
Yeah.
and you say it and you don't get anything, you're like, okay, maybe I should look for another profession.
On that remark of bombing on stage, probably is the most cringiest thing that you can experience as audience, but also from the aspect of you as the comedian going like, okay, what rabbit do I need to pull out of my hat? My question is, do you remember a moment in your career now when you've done the stand-up that really humbled you, and what did you teach you about yourself regarding that? First of all, maybe you haven't bombed.
Please,
Hmm.
please.
But is there any moment that, please, Alex, of course I haven't.
Exactly.
Is there any moment where you felt like, okay, and this taught me something very valuable?
I mean, I have to answer in two parts because it depends on where you are mentally and in your profession, in your craft, I would say. In the beginning, my second or third gig, I had 5 minutes in Gothenburg. I bombed for 4.5 minutes. Basically, it was just crickets. It was just like every other chuckle. That was the I have it recorded, and I've never watched it. Okay, and this was maybe 8 years ago or something like that. Um, but when I went out that room, I was mortified. I was angry. I was like, why am I doing this? I was questioning everything. Obviously, it was like just the third gig, but But then I said to myself, okay, I need to get up on the bike again, and I need to prepare properly, because I didn't prepare, because it was like, okay, I have these minutes and I didn't really go through the script or whatever, which my friend always did. He always like 2-3 times the day before, 2-3 times on the day, and then he was set, right? And I was like, I don't really have time. Just 5 minutes, blah blah blah. So from that experience, I learned that I need to prepare myself more properly, and I kind of did, because that was a correlation. I saw that, okay, you can't go say that you're bad. You can't blame the audience. You can't do any. What can I blame? Where I can blame my preparation. So if I prepare well, then I know that I've prepared. So the next step was I prepared, and then I noticed, okay, I didn't get laughs here. Then the jokes are bad. Then I know what I need to do, right? So today, when I'm doing like bigger stages and I'm trying out material, I'm sandwiching in new things and old things. I don't get startled, because it's like when I say something and I don't laugh, it's like, okay, maybe it's a too complicated idea. Maybe the wording is off. Maybe the setup is wrong. Maybe the punchline is too weak. Because in comedy, the further away the punchline comes from the setup, the bigger the laugh needs to be. So you see comics doing like quick things at a high pace, and you get a lot of laughs, maybe not the big laugh, but the audience is still really happy, right? Because I've been laughing for 5 minutes. But if we flip it and you say that you have a big laugh every 30 or 40 seconds, then the laugh needs to be really, really big for the audience to go, oh my God, that was a crazy idea, or a crazy turn, or a crazy surprise, right? So bombing kind of teaches you different things depending on where you are in your cycle of or in your career, really.
Okay. I have a follow-up question on that, because you were saying that laughter is something that you have studied and seeing, okay, what type of different laughters do we have? So when you're standing there on stage and you're doing this and you're feeling like you're doing this, you're trying new things, do you find that, okay, the laughter is not coming there? Do you have like a backup plan, that you have another path, then you can take a side route? So you know that this is always proven. Can you change, are you,
Yeah,
do you have that preparation of ability of changing that, okay, this crowd is not going the direction I want, soup, I'm just going to switch it over?
yeah. I mean, I do a lot of stories on stage and try to like have a lot of jokes in them. So I always have a start to the story. I have like a climax in the middle, and then I have an ending. And if I have an ending, I can just do a start and ending. So the joke can be really short. So I can always opt out saying the ending, even though it might not be maybe I haven't set it up properly so I get the biggest laugh, but that's a quick way for me to get out. And then I go on to a different topic, or maybe I start to speaking to the crowd, or checking, or like that. And not being, yeah.
Do you have a laugher meter inside of your head?
I'm a
Like,
kind of, I'm a kind of, because the
how do-
thing is that when you do this, and it probably in speaking as well, but when you do comedy, you have like two dialogues ongoing. You have one with the audience, and then you have one in your head. So you analyze at the same time as you're speaking, which is insane, really, when you think about how it can work and how the mind works. Because I say something, and then I go, okay, I see a person there. He looks and I kind of analyze that, and I go blah blah blah, and I go, but you, hey, what's your story? And I've already kind of picking up on that, and I scan. So it's such a weird thing to do, really, to have an internal dialogue when you have an actual dialogue.
Yeah.
It's insane. We're mad people, honestly.
Well, I enjoy this. It's interesting to listen to, because I can see how, well, when you're telling the story, you also know usually if it's going the right direction when you're doing your build up, and you're noticing, am I getting the interactions and the laughs that I should be doing? Then you can go further. If you're not getting that, which you know by that point you should be getting, you can just opt out. Is it kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, a feel of the room and the joke and how it
Yeah.
moves?
Exactly. And the worst thing is when you see newer, because this comes with experience. Obviously, you have a lot of material. You can twist and turn. You can talk to the audience. You have a lot of tools in this toolbox, right? So stand-up comics, we have a lot of different tools, and we need to obviously sharpen all the different tools. Crowd work is one. Storytelling is one-liners, act outs. There's a lot of things to it. But when you see like comics that are new or just coming up and are 2 years in, and they're doing great because they're doing like this in their own city, and everything is peachy. And then they go on the road. Maybe you do just another city with them, and you see them just dying for 4 minutes, and you go, and it's kind of hilarious. No, but it's kind of hilarious because you go, and what do? They don't know what to do. So they just continue on pushing this material on them. And it's like, dude, it's not working. You're dying. You're fucking dying.
Plan B.
Yeah,
Plan
and they
B.
don't have one. But that's the thing. So what that teaches you is, okay, next time, do you want to feel similar, or do you need to have another different opt out? Maybe you just close with your best joke and you go off 3 minutes early. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you. It's so interesting to listen to you. I just want to draw this a little bit back to the business side of it, things, because I'm so curious on how that journey in the middle, or at the beginning to the middle, right? So you had a friend, you were out finding clubs. I'm thinking from my perspective that networking seems to be a pretty big thing when it comes to comedy and getting out and knowing the right people to get on the stage and stuff like that. Was there someone who helped you early in your career? Did you have to just battle yourself in? Like, what was that journey?
I mean, it's like this. I mean, it doesn't matter how many people you know and how good your network is and how broad it is. You might know the best and finest comedians in Sweden or in the world, and the best club owners and whatever. But if you're not good at comedy, that doesn't matter. So that's the thing. Even if you might get a couple of minutes, if you don't do those minutes well, you won't be rebooked for a long time. Or if someone recommends someone, it's like you better do this good, right? You better be good, because it's kind of me putting my seal of approval here on this person. So yes, there've been people that helped me, but the most crucial thing is they've helped me with, like, maybe think this way, maybe think that way. And the best advice I've given is listen to advice, but you don't have to take any of it.
Mm.
Because a lot of times is, when doing stand-up, you need to find your voice, and your voice is unique, and it takes time. You can get a lot of ideas from other people what you should do, but not a lot of time when you borrow. It's like borrowing other people's clothes and go, this would look good on you, and you're like, okay, maybe if it's kind of itchy, but but in the end, you need to find your own wardrobe. You need to find your own persona, and when you get that good, all the networking. I mean, I've sent out a lot of videos on like doing like 5 minutes stand up, and you think, when I started this, it's like, okay, I'm gonna send 5 minutes. They're gonna see it. They're gonna think, oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen, and you go. Now, I've been a club owner, I'm doing clubs, I'm doing gigs and nights, and I have people sending me things, and like the attention span on me is like maybe 30, 40 seconds. If you don't get me, if I see a video, someone like coming up, hey everybody, I'm like, okay, next, because I don't have, it's like the attention span again. It's like, you need to give me off laughing right away, and if I see or something that kind of stops me. So yes, there've been people, but they've helped me a lot. Maybe getting to places, recommending me, but first really seeing me doing the craft.
Mm. Yeah,
advice there to people who want to impress you, Thomas, is to have a good hook within the first 30 seconds, and then you'll probably keep on talking with them. Yeah, and listening to them.
Yeah. No, but when it comes to comedy, definitely, because the longer it takes, the bigger the laugh needs to be.
I like that. It's a very interesting way. We talk about spices in presentations that you need to do at a certain, like, you need to have a spice at least. What do you say, Alex? If you're a pro, you're using it every 8 seconds or something, like to match the attention span, kind of. But it's interesting to hear how that works in comedy with the stretch and the laughter. And it's I understand that big laugh or continuous laughter, you still build the same type of feeling. I'm curious to a lot of our the audience that listen to our podcast, that follow us on social media, etc., are entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, people in business. What do you think business people could actually learn from comedians when it comes to holding attention and connecting with people?
Well, I would say probably that it's likability, right? So anything that we do coming up on stage, even though we might be a hard, tough, edgy comedian, everyone wants to be liked. It's not that we want to alienate anyone in the room. Sometimes that happens. You have comedians that kind of go too hard on a certain subject and they kind of alienate people. But the trick is really to, like, when you meet someone for the first time, right? When you meet someone for the first time, you don't open up and talk about your most inner, deepest thoughts and insecurities and whatever, right? You kind of ease into that. And that's the same thing on stage. When you go up on stage, you need to first the people to like you. That's where the kind of comedy, well, self-deprecating comedy comes from, right? So I kind of attack myself a little bit, and then it's easier for me to attack anyone else, right? Or talk about them or be whatever, right? So I need to kind of disarm myself first. And I think like in business and meeting people and networking, it's like if someone comes up and like they have this stature of like I'm the best, and it can be intimidating, right? So what they need to do is kind of lower their guard a little bit and going, but this is actually a nice person. I'm actually liking this person, even though they have this stature of whatever hard entrepreneur business type, right? Because when you meet people that are really high up in their field, it doesn't matter what it is, a lot of times they're really well spoken, they're humble, they look at you in your eye, they thank you, they talk to you, they're interested in you. And you go, that wasn't so scary. You know what I mean? So I think likability is something that people often forget. They kind of go into this role that, okay, I am this big person. I'm going to take, yeah, sure. But at the same time, you need to maybe take it down a notch.
Well, thank you.
My question there is again, coming to the business aspect. First of all, I think there's a lot of people. I think, well, not using that, but I truly believe that there's a little hidden talent in some people that they're not using and utilizing because they are comedians, but they don't access that because they don't think that they are. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Like you, it's something that you discovered that people thought that you were funny. But from the business aspect there, how would you transition? And this is where it's cool because you said that you had your 9 to 5 job, your teacher first, and then you became stand-up comedian. How did you dare to do the transition? And where did you say, okay, now I have sufficient amount of funds so I can maybe do quit, or how did that roll in your head? And where did you find the bravery? How was the process in that after getting recognized? I think you still had your regular job and just having this as a side note, right? The stand-up comedy. But what would be the process there? What kind of advice do you have to people who are saying, like, I'm sitting here in my couch every Friday when I meet my friends, I make them laugh, maybe I'm a stand-up, or how does that? Yeah,
I mean, obviously, it's you need to have, like, I know maybe it's an overused word, but this kind of grit where you go, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try it. And and it depends where you are in life. Like when I started this, I had that 9 to 5 job, a wife, and 2 kids on the way, right? So because I had twins. So for me, it was like I needed to try it out because I wanted and I thought it was fun. And I noticed that I got more and more attention. And when I started doing my different characters and clips, a lot of things went viral. And I just noticed that I got more and more bookings. And that's kind of the thing where when I said to myself, okay, if I have funds for at least half a year, then I can quit my job and try. And a worst case scenario, I go back to teaching because I had a profession, right? So I had something. So I knew that, okay, I won't end up where we will struggle, where my family doesn't get, my kids doesn't get like the bikes they need or the clothes they need or whatever. So that was a really big thing for me. But when I quit, I already had like almost a year's worth of funds to cover the whole year. So I was like, okay, because at the end of when I actually quit my job, I had like 3 months of leave. And what I did was all the money that I accumulated, I never spent it from stand up because I was thinking if we just save up a lot of money, then so those funds were really taken from almost from the start, post pandemic, really. So that was the money that I saved up until I quit my job last year. So it's like a 5 years of saving up, like doing small gigs for small money, but knowing that hopefully I'll get to that point where not everybody in Sweden knows who I am and books me and comes to my shows. Because that's the thing with likability. Again, I need to know that people are following me so they can buy tickets to see me. Because if people buy tickets to see me, then I control the narrative. I go into a negotiation with power, right? I go, well, I need this cut because I know that my audience will come. But before that, you just have to accept what they give you, basically, if you want to do this, right?
Yeah, oh, that's so good. That's it's kind of like the power of community. We talk a lot about this currently, where it's and to be honest, I've spoken to people who do public speaking in the UK, etc., and they are very big on specifically what you just said. Like you can come to and speak on my stage if you can bring the people, or if you're really good at selling. And in your case, what you do is you bring the crowd, which is what every event organizer wants, which is it's really powerful. Cool. Just one follow up on this. What would you, looking back, like what would you tell yourself in the beginning from now?
Yeah,
like,
no,
do this, Thomas, do this. Why did you do that? Do this instead.
I think I would probably write more than what I did, but I also had this. I mean, I was in a phase where it was difficult to write because I had 9 to 5, just newly born twins, so I didn't have time to sit and just okay, I'm going to sit and write for an hour. I didn't really get those opportunities, but I think that writing is something that is key for a lot of things. It doesn't have to be like you write out the whole comedy script or whatever. Just your ideas to put down on paper, and then you can look at the paper and go, okay, let me take this idea up on stage. Not necessarily word for word, but just idea. So I'm better. Like it's almost like journaling. You just write a couple of things down that happened, and then when you look back at it, it's like, yeah, this can be a bit, and then I can expand on that, and maybe that's a story. Maybe that's a 5-minute bit that I can use.
Nice.
Like that.
Do you have like a book now of all your stories where you evaluate how well they go and stuff like that? It's like
Not really.
sort of
Not.
it's all in your head. That internal.
I mean, I have like bits and pieces written down, and like setlits written up. But I don't really evaluate them and go, this is a that. But that's because it's just I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't do that. I have a friend who's a comic and an engineer, and his drive document. I mean, it's amazing. It's just like every other piece, and there's a link. It's a hyperlink to another thing, and there's a score and a rating, and he does all that work, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but I sell out shows, so I don't know. I think I've done a little bit better. My method works for me.
Yeah, well, people are different, right? Some go on feelings, and some are very, very driven by data. So yeah,
exactly. But I do record everything, so I can backtrack bits where I go, why did this one work better than that one? So I can like take out specific things and listen to them.
So you watch them now, but you won't go back and watch that.
That first one, no, never. That's maybe on my deathbed, and I go, this is where it all started, folks.
You put it in it's called the White Archives in Sweden, where you can like tell people that are still here after you're dead what happens, and you're like, this is the video, play this.
And then I go, you see this video, this is where I started dying. So.
Yeah.
Horrible.
But you have the no stupid questions going out, right?
Yeah.
The tour, and you're doing that together with another famous stand-up.
Robin Paulson.
Robin Paulson. Yeah, he's we have to say it in Scania as well, Robin Paulson, because it doesn't make it right. It's like Robin Paulson.
No.
My question is, and this is more on the personal aspect. So doing this, where are you? Where do you want to go now? What's the next step in Tomas Kaminski's life of as stand-up? Where are you heading?
Well, I mean, for me, the goal is to being able to do like theater tours in Sweden with my own name, where people come and buy tickets, obviously. And the way there, kind of my blueprint for that right now is to kind of do obviously more cities, more places, going more up north, because I've been focusing down south a lot because of like family and stuff. But also I'm gonna shoot a couple of shorter specials that with material that I've had. So, and that's going to be chopped up for like social media things. So hopefully people will like what they see and just kind of continue building the community that I do, because I know that my audience is special in a way that when they come out, they well, they write to me in DMs before a gig and say, we're gonna come. I'm gonna come with my sister, and she's this and that, and they're trying to give me like bits and pieces of material on their friends, and also, so I mean the long term goal is to do like theater tour across Sweden, and I know I have to kind of build it up. So this year's been the building aspect with it. Doing this show with Robin Poulsen was a strategic thing for me, because kind of he has his audience, I have my audience, and we kind of pull together. And then so the next step would be to do like a solo thing in smaller venues, especially up north. And I mean north, anything north of Scania. So basically, for me, it's up north. It's like there's an ice wall up there. No, so that's really a thing for me. I just try to build this community, which I think I've created a great one. I'm really happy with. So yeah, I mean that's the thing, going on a solo tour.
Where is what is the you have this vision of, okay, this stage, this location, this amount of people, then I can just lay down and no mas. I don't have to breathe anymore after that. Do you have one of those built in your as a vision, or you're just going, okay, not going too over your head? I'm
No,
going
of course I'm
realistic.
going over my head. Please, come on. Have we met?
I have to be humble. I have to be humble.
No, but the thing is, like for me, the top thing that I'm kind of eyeing right now is the long term thing is to sell out the Malmö Arena here in my home city. So that's selling that out, because when I've already spoken to them. So it's not that. It's just not. I mean, because I have to get an idea for the feel, and they go, if you can sell 3,000 tickets, we can do it, because they can kind of part a little bit of it. But I want to do it in like in the mound in the middle. I want to do like, what is it, 10,000 people. That's where we want to do it. So that's
a solo show.
Like doing that stand-up show there would be amazing. And obviously I'm not there right now, but that's where I'm pulling and looking towards.
Well, you only have to search for another 9,998 tickets, because 2 of them are already sold. Yes.
I think it can sell more than 2, though.
Yeah, but the first 2 are sold. Talking here on the vision board. All right, good. Here's the thing with you. We were saying this, we had these interviews with other people, and we're always asking this, like, do you have anybody who you would like to listen into, that you would like to have here? And somebody said comedian, and then the first thing I went, like, I have to, it's a long shot. I reached out to you, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you said yes. But now the question, I'm passing it forward, Thomas, in this can be high and low. Is there anybody you would say, like, yeah, let's put that person on the barbecue and the rolling coaster of the speaking, the public speaking podcast, and getting drilled by us? That came out very wrong, but getting questions from us.
Barbecue and drilled. You're great. You're doing great, Alex. Keep on.
Thomas, do you have anyone that you would references? Alex, you're doing a great job there.
Nah, but honestly, I would love to see a politician kind of breaking through their rhetorics, because obviously if you think like public speaking, but especially getting your message through and being clear, because a lot of times when you, like, we have an election here coming up in Sweden, and you hear, and if you look across like the political party social medias, they have a completely different rhetorics depending on which group they're talking to, obviously. And I want to know kind of how much of that is intent, probably everything, but like because if you look at these three social medias, if you look at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and you look at their parties, what they post, what videos they do, and how they speak, is 3 complete different ways. So if you look at if you're like a Facebook loving person, and you just go there and you use that as a search bar because you're not really into internet that much, if you see the TikTok that the same party presents, you would probably go, something's happened to them mentally, because this is just weird. So kind of seeing the politics and politicians and how they break things down too.
So I shout out to the politics. Join us. Join the revolution of communication and see what.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
But I have one more thing I've been thinking about if I may add something.
You may.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have, because a lot of times people ask me like, how do you get like big, or how do you get like known, or how do you get like own that room? And today when I go up on stage, people know me, and that kind of gives me an edge a little bit, right? It gives me an edge, and the people know me, know who I am, and the laughter sometimes is easier, right? It's the same thing as a speaker, known speaker. Oh, that speaker's coming, we're gonna listen. Or that known person is coming, we're gonna listen. And what happens is, if you're unknown and kind of going on from the underdog side of things, then you only do your best always, because you can always overachieve, right? People's expectations. But the thing is that even though you might be the best comedian in the world, the only thing you'll be granted is attention the first couple of minutes. They give you the full attention, they see someone they idolize, and then they listen. But if the content and comedy isn't good, then they lose them. So the fall is much higher for them. So they need to perform every time as if it was this first time. So you can't be complacent and just on your heels and thinking, I'm the biggest speaker in the world, I'll pull this off, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, your bad days are higher than maybe an amateur's best days. But as an amateur, you just need to pull up and just do your best every time. And because that's what happens. There's no better feeling and being on a show that no one knows who you are, and you do 10 minutes of stand-up comedy, and then after someone comes and says, you were the best tonight, I want to see you again. Where's your social media? And then okay, but you've listened to one of the best, but you thought I was better in that short segment, right? So it's just kind of a teaching where you go, always perform your top, because you never know. Even if you gain one follower each gig, then said over a course of time, you have a great organic growth. And people just like Alexander saw me, maybe a clip, maybe he went, maybe he thought it was good. Then next time you bring Lucas and maybe another person, all of us, you're three. And then next time, you know what I mean? And it kind of grows. And all of a sudden you're standing there in front of a Malmö arena with 10,000.
And this has been Words of Wisdom with Tomas. I love that. That was
really good.
on the dot, on the spot. That was beautiful. And I think that is the finalization of this episode. But of course, we need to sell tickets for your upcoming event. So where do we find you, Kaminski? Where can people search you? Where's your biggest? Well, you kind of said over on Instagram, but this is your moment. What is it that you want to say to our listeners and our viewers?
No, I mean, just go into my website, tomaskaminski.com, and that's basically everything you need. That's where I put up my information, all the coming up shows where you can buy tickets. And if you don't know, and if you can't find them, just either DM me on Instagram, Tomas Kaminski, the same thing. It's my handle on everything, really. The worst part is that if you search Tomas Kaminski, you might see a Belgian football player, a goalkeeper, but he's spelled with a TH, so he's an imposter. I've actually I've sent to Instagram, this is a copycat, trying to copy my thing, but they won't accept my such a bastard. But hey,
why do this?
Yeah, so without an H, tomaskaminski.com, and you find everything you need.
Thank you, Thomas. This has been a lovely conversation. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey, your wisdom, and giving inspiration about comedy in the world of public speaking. This has been another episode of the Public Speaking Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. You know what to do. Like the show, give us a 5-star rating, make us grow. Together, we will rule the future and all of that stuff. Thank you.
I'm putting in a Lego piece now, but thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
There we go.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.